Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
All right, welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. It's totally free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel out, description box below, very top link takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So once again, if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance once again. Thank you. And then finally, just underneath that, there's another link. It takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, The Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. It has over 9,900 members in the group, and it is doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I got internet access, I am putting stuff in this group darn at 365. It's called the New York Giants, The Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. Well, guys, woo. Well, I mean, boy, I tell you, I need something. I need something. I mean, after my fight in Irish last night, just straight up sucked the big 10-inch. Let me tell you what. Oh my God, I got all excited about the off. Getting all pumped up. Woo! Fight night, we go, baby. Woo! Nope. Straight up, just choked on the big 10-inch. Absolute straight trash. So maybe, like I said, the Notre Dame season that's gone. All right, so that's over with. So maybe the Giants can give me something to cheer about, right? I hope so. But they're opening up at. I saw 6 or 6.5. This team's. It's like right around that touchdown, right? Will the Commanders win by more than a touchdown, or will it be less than a touchdown, or might the Giants pull off the upset? Huh? I mean, it seems like not many people giving the Giants, especially the betting community, doesn't give the Giants, especially when at least winning the game anyway, right? And I understand. I was very surprised. Well, I mean, obviously didn't think Jaden Daniels would be that good, that especially or that good, maybe that quickly. I mean, some guys come in and they do very well, but maybe it takes a year or so, whatever. But I mean, but plus also, I mean, the one thing was with the Commanders was that they had brought in so many. Like, I mean, this could be a possibility, 2016, 2017 kind of thing going on, almost maybe 10 years later, because remember 2016, Giants went out, they went to Gurley World, right? Mr. Reese went to Gurley World, brought in a bunch of free agents, spent some big time bucks. I mean, we managed, got to the playoffs, had a good year, went to the playoffs, right? And so a lot of times you spend some money and you bring in a lot of free agents, it just doesn't. I mean, you're just bringing in a whole bunch of different guys, and it's like, it was a new regime. It's not like, they had some guys and they just brought in a sprinkling of some, some older veteran like Wagner. We sprinkled in a little bit of, some veterans and all that. They brought in a lot of guys, and a lot of times that doesn't usually work out very, very well. Of course, a lot of that had to do, obviously, with Daniels, right? But and I said what happened with of course, the Giants didn't have Jaden Daniels in 2016, but I mean, the Giants went out in 2016, went out and spent some money. Go Commanders. Yeah, you got it, brother. They went out and they spent some money in 2016. So you figure in 2017, they might be a little bit better. Right. But we were just, we didn't have Jaden Daniels. We had Eli Manning toward the end of his career. Right. Obviously, things just didn't pan out very well. So I was very, very surprised. right? With you know, how the Commanders wound up doing. They got all the way to the championship game. Now, it is what it is. But one of the reasons why, I'll say this to the day I die, that they got past the Lions was because the Lions defense was just totally decimated, absolutely totally decimated. Totally, I mean, really, for them to make it all the way through maybe to beat the Commanders and then have to maybe face the Eagles and then go on to the Super Bowl with a totally annihilated defense. The odds were really stacked up against them, unfortunately, because they were certainly one of the better, if not maybe the best team, or maybe one of the best two teams in all of football, period, bar none. But the football gods, once again, said, nope, sorry, Lions, you're not going to make it. We're gonna beat you up, and we're gonna have the Eagles, who are a very good team, but we're also very, very healthy. We're gonna have the Eagles stay healthy, and they're gonna obviously, with a good team and very healthy, obviously winning the Super Bowl. But so the Lions, unfortunately, 1957 and counting. So anytime you think, we got it bad, right? Anytime you think, right, we got it bad, just think about the Lions, 1957. Hold on, 59-14. They went out in style. They beat the Browns 59-14. So they opened up can of whoop butt on the Browns in 1957. But since then, we're getting close to 70 years for the Lions. So it's a long time. They haven't won many playoff games in that amount of time either. So now, of course, they lost their two coordinators. I don't know why I keep talking about the Lions here. We're talking about the Giants, right? But the Lions lost their coordinator. So, they got, it's going to be very interesting. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting division with the Vikings, the Packers / Parsons, right? The Lions and the Bears. That's going to be a very good division. Keep an eye on. But anyway, getting ahead of ourselves here. The Commanders. Now, one thing I saw, which is going to be quite interesting, is of course, Coach Dabes, keeps everything on the hush hush until he has to bring it out into the limelight, like especially with injuries and stuff like that. They're talking to him today, and he's like, "Yeah, we'll bring that out on Wednesday." So he's not saying anything. Right. I don't know what, I mean, the guys who were talking to him, they're trying to pull out like, who's the backup quarterback? And Dave said, we'll put that out on Sunday, the starting lineups, I guess, or whatever, and all of that and everything, or who's going to dress, because, you got 53, but you're not, you don't dress 53. Right. So, but one of the interesting things is, of course, is Andrew Thomas. And not only so much for week one, but it's, can the guy stay healthy ever again? Right. So far, Bo's done well, but that was preseason. These are live bullets. It's going to be a little bit different. Now, also be interesting if Thomas can't go, who's going to go over there? Is it going to be the swing tackle Hudson, or we're going to put Bo over there? Or, I mean, well, it might be Bo, but I mean, don't forget, right, what Illuminor did last year. Illuminor started off on the right-hand side, and because Andrew Thomas got injured, Illuminor went over to the left-hand side, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what winds up happening. But as of right now, Dave's not, giving any hints at all if Andrew Thomas is going to make it or not. But we'll have to wait and see. But, I mean, sure would be nice to have our best offensive lineman out there ready to play, but we will have to wait and see. So I saw this one article. It says, one harsh injury is trending towards giving the Commanders a major game-changing advantage against the Giants in week one. One injury. And, I mean, this is not, obviously, it's not a good injury, but at least the Giants, it doesn't seem like we have the dreaded plethora of injuries, right? We might only be just, hopefully maybe just a minute few, right? So we seem like we're doing a little bit better this year than we did last year as far as with injuries to start the season. Of course, we haven't played a game yet, a regular season game, and injuries are obviously going to happen. But it seems like as of this year, at this point in time, it seems like we're a little bit healthier than we were last year. But it sure would be great to get Andrew Thomas back in there. Let me tell you freaking what. All right, so I got here. This ATOZ Sports. Never heard of them before, but the Commanders are preparing to start the season hot against an NFC East rival, the Giants, and it's time to start breaking down the matchups that will decide the outcome. As I said, let's not forget, Giants lost 27-22 last year at home to the Commanders. But then we also lost on the road early on, and of course we didn't have a kicker. If we had a kicker, we possibly would have won that game. So just because the Commanders won both games, that's not like, oh, yeah, the Commanders ran roughshod over the Giants. No, the Giants had 3 wins all last year, and the Commanders beat us by 5 points in Jersey, New York, whatever. But they also beat us by 3 points in Washington, and we didn't have a kicker. And, of course, our best wide receiver drops a pass on the sideline, which would have kept the drive going, which maybe could have resulted in a touchdown for the Giants, possibly winning the game. Right, hits him like right in the chest, right, and drops the ball. Both teams are reporting back to practice in a few days for game prep, and there's one injury situation in New York that will be heavily watched leading up to kickoff. The Giants could very well be without one of their best players and expect the Commanders to take full advantage of it. Yep. A potential big blow for the Giants. Giants are heading into the season dealing with an injury that occurred last year and would be a massive strain on a key position for their offense. Left tackle Andrew Thomas suffered a Lisfranc foot injury during Week 6 last season, and he's still dealing with the difficult rehab process. Now, interesting also is because back in April, I believe it was, he had an operation again to take one of the screws out because it was causing some discomfort. I wonder if that wasn't causing any discomfort. I wonder if that's what's adding some extra time to this, possibly. That second operation that he wound up having to remove a screw. Brian Dable said the team will have a walkthrough and everyone is expected to participate, but a walkthrough and being game ready are completely different. Thomas spoke to the media a few days ago and made it clear that he doesn't plan on rushing back. Thomas said, I want to be back, but if I don't feel comfortable to be able to perform at the level I think I can, I don't think it makes sense for me to be out there. Nope. Doesn't sound positive right now, and the Giants don't have to provide a real injury update until the injury report is released on Wednesday. So you might have to wait, well, actually, it's almost Tuesday, but I have to wait a couple of days. Whoever plays left tackle will be Russell Wilson's blindside protector and the most important offensive lineman on the field Sunday. Thomas has allowed only 4 sacks each of the last 2 seasons, has been a staple for the offensive line. Let's see. I had to get some intel with the A to Z Sports beat. Joe DeLeon, who covers the Giants, said based on his recent comments, it doesn't seem likely that Andrew Thomas will play. The emphasis in his statement was on progressing slowly and not forcing an early return. For his and the Giants' sake, it's far more impactful if Thomas is on the field for 14 to 15 games, which is true, without discomfort, than his season ending early again. Yep. If Thomas can play, Giants will have to turn to one of 2 new additions to the offensive line. Ultimately, the Giants placed direct emphasis on bolstering their offensive line depth because of the volatility of the unit. James Hudson, the swing tackle, and then, of course, Marcus Bell also strengthened the group, especially after he had a promising preseason. So, now, if Thomas can't play, right? If Thomas is in fact out on Sunday, this gives defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. a chance to let loose on the left side of the line. Defensive end Dietrich Wise will likely line up on that side, but don't be surprised to see Von Miller or Jacob Martin come off that side as well with their ears pinned back. It's also worth noting that the Commanders love to blitz Frankie Louvu from that side as well. So it could be a big game for him in the backfield. Witt Jr. loves to rotate the line and put a new faces on the edge throughout the game. So the Giants will have to keep guessing. There are a lot of options for how the Commanders can take advantage of the left side of the line, with Thomas either out or not playing at 100%. We will learn more about Thomas' injury as the game gets closer and the first injury report comes out on Wednesday. But so we'll have all things we're going to have to wind up waiting and seeing. All right, then we got Commanders enter week 1 as a clear favorite against the Giants. Commanders open the season with confidence and high expectations, and the betting market reflects that. FanDuel Sportsbook lists Washington as a 6.5-point favorite over the Giants. With second-year quarterback Jaden Daniels leading an energized roster and a defense built to pressure opponents, the Commanders are in position to make an early statement in the NFC East. Now, obviously don't, every year it go through this. There's teams from last year that's like, oh yeah, they were good last year, so they'll make the playoffs again this year. No, I mean, every year there's a certain percentage, like I think it's like 40% or so of the teams that make the playoffs this year that weren't in the playoffs last year. So this, it's not going to be the same exact teams year, and because this team made the playoffs last year, they're going to make the playoffs this year. Don't work like that, right? Let's see. I guess the over-under is 45.5. All right. The betting line highlights that the Commanders' progress under head coach Dan Quinn and general manager Adam Peters. Daniels has injected hope into the franchise, and odds makers clearly trust his ability to handle the spotlight. Washington's strong defense, which returns multiple playmakers and a revamped defensive line in secondary, also plays a major role in the spread leaning so heavily toward the home team. Well, they said, they were good last year, blah, 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 all this stuff and everything. The Giants were not a very good team, and we all lost by 3 points. All right. And, and we had Daniel Jones, and this week we have Russell Wilson. So we'll have to wait and see. Giants should not be overlooked, however. Division games often produce unexpected results, and the 6.5+ spread gives the Giants room to cover, even if Washington wins. Well, I mean, I said, look at last year. Washington wound up winning at their home. I mean, both games Washington won, but neither one did they win by more than 6.5 points. Neither one did they win by 7 points. That makes this matchup intriguing for both bettors and fans who expect a hard-fought contest to open the season. Last year, the Commanders needed a franchise-best 7 consecutive field goals by Austin Seibert to secure a tough Week 2 win over the Giants. Could history repeat itself? Well, let's not forget. I mean, that was the game. To be fair for the Commanders, right? They just kept walking up and down the field. The Giants couldn't stop them. The Giants stopped them every time they got like around the 10-yard line, whatever. The 90 yards from the Giants, from the Commanders' goal to the Giants' 10-yard line was just like shooting fish in a barrel for the Commanders, just up and down the field, up and down the field. Giants couldn't stop them to save their life. Even we had 37 guys on defense, couldn't stop the Commanders to save their life. But once the Commanders got down deep, somehow the Giants found their defense, and they of course the Commanders, as I said in this article, kicked 97 field goals. But at least they had a kicker. The Giants had a kicker. Quite possibly the Giants come out on top, but it is what it is. Sunday will determine which way the odds makers think and ultimately proves correct, and how to value each team for the 2025 camp. Wow, I mean, this is one, it's one game, right? I mean, it's 17 games. You got a long way to go. The Giants started 2-3. They wound up 3-14. They started off 2-3. The one game they lost to the Commanders, they should have won, because if they had a kicker, they might have actually been 3-2. And then they won one game the rest of the year, because it pays a lot with the offensive line and the quarterbacks and yada, yada, yada. And we weren't a very good team. But yeah, I mean, it's early on. It doesn't mean if the Commanders wind up winning that they're playoff bound. Doesn't mean if the Giants lose that they're going to be have another horrible season. Doesn't mean that, right? But I mean, as we do know and we've seen in the past, divisional games are just different animals, and a lot of times too, it doesn't matter. I mean, look at the Cowboys. I mean, the MetLife Stadium's a home away from home for the Cowboys, right? The Eagles do very well at MetLife Stadium, right? The Giants have had some success in Washington before, so I mean, home field advantage, it's okay, but I mean, it's going to be especially after this preseason, right? Washington's not that far. Going to be a lot of Giant fans in Washington, a lot of Giant fans. So it's going to be a real good, real good. I mean, it was just a breath of fresh air. 2022 when we went on the road in Tennessee, right? We won a game we weren't supposed to win. Pretty much nobody gave us a chance in HEL double hockey sticks of winning that game. Came out on top with the W. I mean, we were like 17-3 we were losing at one point. I mean, the defense kept us in the game in the second half. We started crawling back, and wound up pulling that out. That was just after Saquon backed his way into the end zone for that 2-point conversion. It was just like, man, oh, wow. What a great way to start the season. Of course, it's only one game, a long way to go. But as I said, so the 6.5 points, and that's seems about right. Will the Commanders win by a touchdown or more? Basically, that's what it is. So I'll give you my predictions and all like later on in the week. But man, I'll tell you what, if we can get Andrew Thomas, that would be fantastic. But the thing is that if he's not ready, sorry, I got to keep moving my legs. My dog, man, he's right under my feet here. Oh my God, there we go. The thing is with Andrew Thomas is that you don't want him to come back, week one if he's not 100%, because then he could slightly re-injure or whatever, or the first 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks not be as effective, and then maybe the last 10 games of the season maybe he might be okay. You want him to come back and be darn near almost 100%, and that way, knock on wood, with any luck, if he comes in, if he misses the first month of the season. Also, another thing be interesting to see, do we put him on like injury reserve? Right. That'll also tell you, right? If we put him on injury reserve or not? That'll let the Giants know. Or let us know how far along Andrew Thomas is. Because if he's on the 53 and he's not dressing, that means he's not, once again, not fully 100% healthy, but he should be close. Because you're not going to keep a guy on the roster if he's going to be out for 6, 7, 8 weeks with an injury. Just not happening. Right? So we'll have to wait and see. But the injury report comes out on Wednesday, so we will have to wait and see them. That is what I saw. This is pretty fun. Not pretty funny, but how the Giants wind up, Darren Waller. I mean, now to be fair, he seemed like he did everything right when he was here. He did not ask to be traded here. He's like, oh man, send me to that crappy team in MetLife Stadium. I want to go there. The team that won, the team that can't win any games. Yeah, send me there. Yeah, I want to, Waller also, he didn't play last year, so when he was with us, we only won 6 games. But the year before that, we went to the playoffs. So, but I mean, he didn't ask to come here. As far as I know, he didn't. So while he was here, it seemed like he did everything right and all of that. It's just when we were playing Buffalo, and apparently he had to be in the backfield once or twice or something, like he was a fullback, like he was a leading blocker or something. and it didn't really tickle his fancy too well. And after that series was over, he went on the sideline. He took his helmet off. He's like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? He's like, I'm retiring, man. I'm retiring. It's called football. Yeah. So it's not. It was in his contract. He didn't have to block. I don't know. I'm a little lost on that one there. He signed a contract saying I always have to line up on the line of scrimmage and I don't have to touch anybody. I can just run my way into the you just throw me the ball. Is that was in his contract? I don't know. I'm a little lost, but this time it's called football. If you don't get the ball, you might have to block. That's what he did at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's not known for putting up 95 passes a game, right? I'm sure he had a block at Georgia Tech. I don't know. When he was at Georgia Tech, did he take his helmet off? He did. Blocking. What? I'm retiring, man. I ain't blocking. So. But apparently, what I can see, and now, I don't know if Miami is bubble wrapping Waller. He's on the sideline. Don't want to piss him off. Right? Well, you don't have to block nobody because we don't want you retiring after 3 games of the season. So we won't have you blocking anybody. Maybe they put just bubble and they got him on the sideline. So he doesn't have to be actually in a preseason game. I don't know, but what I can find from PFF, he hasn't played a snap yet. Once again, is Miami like bubble wrapping him, and they're going to unwrap the bubble wrap or however you want to call it, and he'll get ready to start participating in week 1. We'll have to wait and see. Or is there some type of injuries lingering? Who knows? We'll find out. But as far as I can tell, he hasn't played at all in preseason. Right? It's there. But I did see that. I did get a chance to see this here. This is borderline absurd Darren Waller trade analysis leaves the Giants fans laughing. The Darren Waller experiment was a disaster for the Giants following back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in 2019 and 2020 that earned him a Pro Bowl nod. Waller struggled to stay healthy in 2021 and 2022 before being sent to New York to revive his career. In 12 games as a Giant in 2023, the 32-year-old caught 52 passes for 552 yards and just 1 touchdown. But he did miss 5 games as well, too. So he was on pace for at least 65 to 70 receptions. And you figure close to about 700 yards. Maybe he would add another touchdown. But, 65, 70 receptions, that's not that horrible. Right? But to make matters even worse, he retired after the 2023 season in order to pursue an unsuccessful rap career. And when Waller unretired earlier this summer, the Giants sent him to Miami for a 2026 conditional 6th-round pick. And when ESPN's Seth Walder provided grades for the trade, he believed the deal favored the Dolphins. Okay. Seth, okay. Darren Waller is not the slam dunk acquisition Dolphins fans think. Really? The sports analytics writer gave New York a B for the deal, while believing it was a B+ for the Finns, who traded Geno Smith to Pittsburgh 1 day prior. They could turn out to bite him in the ass, the Dolphins, trading that guy away. Waller's 32 and has been out of the game for a year, Walder wrote. The last time he recorded at least 700 receiving yards in a season was in 2020 with the Raiders. But it could easily be the best receiving tight end the Dolphins have, and that's worth something. Well, that's what he said back then. He also mentioned the low compensation Miami parted with to land a player who was previously on the best receiving tight ends in football. For context, 2 off seasons ago, the Giants gave up a 3rd-round pick they got for Kadarius Toney to acquire Waller in the first place. Now, it's a shame, because obviously, hindsight's always 20/20, right? But if they knew what was going to happen with Waller, it was a 3rd-round pick we gave up for this guy. The way Shane's been drafting of late, I'll tell you what, if Shane would have knocked a 3rd-round pick out of the park, we'd have ourselves another nice player on this roster, the way Shane's been drafting of late. That third-round pick was pretty valuable. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But Waller has spent the majority of training camp on the sidelines, and it looks like New York may have gotten the last laugh. The Dolphins' offense already has Devon Achane, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle, so it's unlikely that Waller sees a significant target share. It's a low-risk move for Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel, both of whom are fighting to save their jobs in 2025. Now he's been replaced by Theo Johnson and Thomas Fidone, two younger, more explosive options. The Giants are prioritizing youth and stability by trading a player who they never envisioned taking another snap in blue and white. So the fact that they got something at all in return is a minor victory for Joe Shane. That's true. Yes, Waller could provide a short-term boost, but relying on a 32-year-old tight end who has battled injuries, retired, and taken a year off from football is inherently risky. Yep. Both sides are taking different types of risks, but only time will tell if Waller can justify his new role or if the Dolphins just overpaid for a player clearly past his peak. Now, I'm going to show you right here, right? Is that, that's a fact, Jack. Oh, yeah. But I'll show you. I was looking. All right, where are we at here? Here we go. Snaps by position, Darren Waller. Right. They don't even have him in his Dolphin uniform. He's got his Giants blue on. Look at that smile. He's one happy camper. There he is. But you'll notice here, right? 2025, the preseason. Darren Waller, right? Just snaps. The only thing I can click on, snaps by position. That's it. By player, reports, Darren Waller, snaps by position. That's the only thing I can click on. There's nothing else. There's no offense. There's no special teams, nothing. Just snaps by position. Absolutely nothing. He has nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, preseason 2023 with the Giants, right? Right? He played in, looks like one game. He played in a grand total of 8 snaps by position. Let's see here. Offense, there we go, right? Yeah, he played in one. But, you see here, what was it? Let's see what we got. Let me open this up here. All right, he played in 8 snaps. 2019. So actually, in like 2020, 2021, and 2022, he didn't play in preseason at all. So he's not much of a preseason kind of guy. But you also notice here in 2015, 16, played a bunch of snaps with the Ravens. 2018, 2019, and 19 with the Raiders. But I guess once his injury history started cropping up with his hamstrings and all of that, I guess, everybody wants to, once again, try to bubble wrap the guy and make sure he makes it to the regular season somewhat healthy. As you see here in 2023, he played one preseason game. He played a grand total of 8 snaps for the Giants. But, regardless, they bubble wrapped him as much as they humanly possibly could. Right? He still had problems with his hamstrings. So we will have to wait and see. But as I said right here, 2025, right? Snaps by position. He hasn't not played one snap in the preseason. Right? As I said, it shows in that report, in that article that I just read, okay, that, he hasn't taken, he's been on the sideline a lot. So, to be fair, they got Waddle, they got Hill. They got some targets, right? So, he's only going to get so many targets, right? And of course, if he doesn't stay healthy, obviously he's going to give me less targets. So, it's going to be interesting to monitor that. I would be absolutely shocked if he takes a whole year off from football, comes back, and he winds up playing all 17 games. I would be absolutely shocked if that winds up happening. Because, every year, he has had problems with his hamstrings. And from what I understood, from what I can remember, like 2 years ago when he was with the Giants, it has something to do with his nerves and his hamstrings or whatever. And, sorry, buddy. The condition is there. It's always probably going to always be there. And there's nothing they can do. It's not like, well, I got hamstring. Let me just stretch out a little bit more or this or do that. It doesn't seem like, that's going to fix the problem. So whatever the issue is that he has, it's always going to be there for him. So it would be interesting. It's going to be interesting to monitor that and see, how much he plays for the Dolphins, right? It's like, we got a conditional 6th-round pick. I mean, it's not a first, second, obviously, or third rounder or not, but we'll see. I have a hard time believing it. If the Dolphins wind up going really deep into the playoffs and all that stuff, is it Waller going to be the reason why? He'd be maybe a contributing factor, but he couldn't stay healthy for the Giants 2 years ago. I can't see him. So it is what it is. All right, moving on. 6 keys to a successful Giants season. And of course, this guy right here. I mean, we finally got, as of right now, anyway. Well, we have Illuminor. This is his 2nd season. He signed for a 2-year deal, right? So there's some other keys to a successful season, obviously. Not just Andrew Thomas, but Andrew Thomas is a big factor in that. But with Illuminor, starting for 2 years, this is a 2nd-year deal, second year of the deal, right? That doesn't mean we can't maybe bring him back, but, it seems like possibly, if we can bring Illuminor back, great. We got Bo, we got Illuminor. If we can get Andrew Thomas, man, that would be fantastic. And we know we have, if we bring Illuminor back, we know we have at least 3 tackles. Because let's not forget, Bo played both tackles in preseason. Once again, it was preseason, and when he wasn't going up against first team. So, but he did look good when he was in there. So, but can Andrew Thomas stay healthy? Can he actually make it through a whole season? Or is this going to be a yearly occurrence? Or he's something's wrong with an ankle or a foot or something. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's a shame. We finally got ourselves a tackle, a left tackle. We finally got a stud left tackle, and he can't stay healthy. It's like, all right. So, 6 keys to a successful New York Giants season. All right. First one, the quarterback play. Giants have had one of the worst offenses in football for the past 2 seasons. 31st in points scored last season and 30th in 2023. Yeah. When Drew Lock, threw for 309 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a 45-33 Week 17 victory over the Colts, head coach Brian Daboll, renowned for his work as an offensive play caller before coming to the Giants, made his feelings on the primary reason the Giants were not a good offensive team crystal clear. That's how the quarterback needs to perform, Daboll said. It is significant that the only major change the Giants made on offense this offseason was to revamp the quarterback room. Daboll and general manager Joe Shane are pushing their offensive chips to the middle of the table and making it obvious they believe the problem was Daniel Jones. And to a lesser extent, the backups who replaced him over the past 2 seasons, which is true. I mean, you figure, right? I mean, one of the things that just, it's kind of like just like mind-boggling, right? Is that especially last year, we were so horrible offensive-wise. Usually what winds up happening, right, is that you're bad offensive, and it's like, we suck. Blow it up. Let's get rid of this, get rid of that. Let's bring all that. Who's our starting tight end? Theo Johnson. Had him last year. Who's our starting wide receiver? The Fab Four, right? Malik Neighbors, Hyatt, Robinson, Slayton. They're here again, right? Starting running back, Tyrone Tracy. Motor Singletary. We did add Scatterboo, right? But, two of the 3 running backs, or the starting running back as of week 1 is going to be Tyrone Tracy, right? We might possibly, if Andrew Thomas can stay healthy, or let's say get healthy, we have this quite possibly the same starting 5 offensive linemen. So we might have 10 of the 11 starters back from a crappy offense last year. Same offense, right? It's just one big difference: the quarterback. Right? I mean, obviously, Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan. Sadly, he's been our third stringer, but the quarterback room got so much better. We had to kick him out, right? But Daniel Jones is gone, right? Lock, Tommy Chicken Cutlets. So, all right. Jones, for all his hard work, could not elevate the roster. The Giants are counting on the belief that Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, and Jameis Winston, to whatever extent each gets utilized in 2025, can elevate the roster. Wilson at 37 isn't the quarterback he used to be, and maybe not be the starter for this duration of the season, with Dart nipping at his heels. By almost any statistical metric, though, he has been better than Jones the past 2 seasons. Wilson's still a premier deep ball thrower, brings big playability. All 3 of the Giants quarterbacks are capable and willing to throw the ball down the field, which is absolutely true. Absolutely. That is a major change for the Giants offense that has not created enough big plays. Wilson has also brought the leadership, and with a Super Bowl title and 10 Pro Bowl appearances on his resume, the cachet to help teammates learn what it takes to succeed. Absolutely. Whenever Dart becomes the starting quarterback, he has provided the organization with optimism that they were right about trading up with the Houston Texans to select him number 25 overall. As for when Dart will play, the Giants have consistently said that Wilson is quarterback number 1 and are not committing to anything. It's Wilson's starting the season. Let's see where we go. See where we go from there. Another key, health of the players. So far, so good. Okay, but on paper, the Giants have the most talented, deepest roster in Joe Shane's 4 years as general manager. I like the team. I like the chemistry. I like the leadership, Shane said recently. We have a good training camp. We had a good spring. Now we're 2 weeks away, and we have to go out and do it. Do I like this team? Yes. I like the chemistry. I feel like we've been executing. We've had good practice. The guys have done a good job through camp. It's really been good competition, and now it's time to go out and do it. That's right. But the Giants somehow always seem to be a team that suffers an alarming number of injuries. Yep. Perennially among the leaders in the games, lost to injury. Yep. Absolutely. That has to change sometime, doesn't it? Well, you would hope. The biggest health question entering the season revolves around left tackle Andrew Thomas, the team's best offensive lineman. His recovery from Liz Frank's surgery has been painstakingly slow, and his medical issues this offseason were deeper than had been previously reported. The more healthy games the Giants get from Thomas, the better chance they have of getting quality play from their offensive line. Then, of course, we got Malik Neighbors dealing with his toe, shoulder, back injury issues this offseason. Obviously, the Giants desperately need a healthy Neighbors. Now, if you can imagine if we had a healthy Thomas and a healthy Neighbors, man, that would be huge. Darius Slayton is a nice player and deserving team captain, but not a game-changing number 1 wide receiver. Yeah, there's a big difference between Neighbors and Slayton. So, Graham Gano missed 16 games over the past 2 seasons with leg injuries. Can he stay healthy? Right? He's looked really good in preseason. That's preseason. Can he stay healthy during the regular season? Dexter Lawrence is, of course, irreplaceable. Right? Brian Burns, Adebo, Javon Holland, Tyler Newman, Abdul Carter, Theo Johnson, and maybe even Slayton are among players the Giants would have a difficult time replacing. So, yeah. And it's one thing, obviously, guys get injured, guys get nicked up, this, that, and the other thing, but it's kind of like, who is getting nicked up, right? Because, we arguably lost our best player on each side of the ball last year. Offensive. Now, I'm close to handing the torch to Malik. Close. But last season, the beginning of last season, the best player on offense, Mr. Thomas. There you go, brother. You got the torch. You are the best player. And in the 6th game is when he got injured. Right? So we lost him. Rest of the season. Then, of course, the best player on defense is I can't even do the sexy, right? Of course, we lost him toward the end of the last 5 games. I think it was. We lost him, right? So we lost the best players, right? So it's like there's not so much who you how many you lose or how many games you lose or this, that, and it's like who you lose, right? I mean, as I said, I mean, the Eagles were good, but, if you go in there and decimate, their roster, take their best, whatever, 10 players or so and, get them injured where they can't play, they have a hard time winning the Super Bowl, right? So it's, and I mentioned this just a little bit earlier, 10 minutes, whatever, 15 minutes ago, right? It's a shame, right? Whatever the reason was, that the football gods did not want the Lions to have a chance to make the Super Bowl. They totally decimated by injuries on the defensive side. They couldn't stop the Commanders. And, in the beginning of the season, they were easily one of the best one or two teams in all football. But as the season went along, especially that Thanksgiving Day game, it was just unbelievable. It's almost like every other play, guy on defense for the Lions was limping off the field. And I can't remember who the announcer was, but they just oh, my God, this guy. The Lions can't afford to lose this guy. And then 2 plays later, oh, my God, this guy's injured for the Lions on defense. The Lions can't afford to lose this guy. And then it was just like one after the other. It was unbelievable. It's like whatever the reason was, that the football gods, nope, sorry, Lions, you're not making the Super Bowl. But we'll take care of that for you. Don't you worry about that. We'll make sure your defense is so decimated you won't be able to stop anybody. That's what happens, right? Can we stay healthy? Nothing derails a season faster than injuries. Next key, the defense has to match the hype, right? The hype train regarding the potential of the Giants defense, especially the front seven, has been hurtling at warp speed since the Giants made former Abdul Carter the 3rd overall pick. Bucky Brooks of NFL.com ranked the Giants front seven as the best in the league. Sharp Football Analyst ranks the group number 4. Pro Football Focus ranks the front seven number 3. So, and let's not forget, we big time upgraded the secondary as well, too, with Holland and Adebo. Big time. Even second-year backup linebacker Darius Muisow is buying into the hype, saying during training camp that I'd say we got the best D-line in the NFL right now. Well, they have to go out and prove it. The defense, the group, including linebackers Bobby Okereke, Micah McFadden, as well as defensive lineman Roy Robertson Harris and Darius Alexander as primary players, cannot disappoint. After being 31st in the NFL in scoring a season ago, the Giants' offense can't be expected to suddenly become a juggernaut. Hopefully it becomes the league average, which would be fine. I mean, that's what you want, league average. Same thing with the offensive line. Can the offensive line, we don't need a top 5 offensive line. Don't get me wrong. Our offensive line looked like the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. I'll take it. I'll take it. I won't turn it down. But we don't, it's not an absolute necessity. Can we be in the middle of the pack, right? Or we're functionable. Or we actually give ourselves a chance to win a football game, right? With the run defense, after co-owner John Mara expressed disappointment with the defense in January by saying, I'm tired of watching teams go up and down the field on us, Shane poured a lot of offseason resources into changing that. Carter and Alexander were drafted. Adebo, Holland, Robertson Harris, and Chauncey Golston, don't forget about him, were signed in free agency. Secondary coaches Jerome Henderson and Mike Trier were replaced by Marquand Manuel and Jeff Burris. The thing with Henderson, with Rome Henderson, was that he probably couldn't. They drafted Banks the first round, and he just could not seem to get the best out of him. So that's probably the biggest reason that Mr. Henderson is no longer with the Giants. It's a shame. It is a defense that's going to have to carry this team against a difficult schedule, keeping the Giants competitive, making game-changing plays, setting up the offense to make big plays and be opportunistic. If it can't, the Giants won't be winning very many games. The next key, the offensive line being at least adequate. That's what we need. Right? Now, they were. The first 5 or so games last season, we were 2-3. Quite easily, if we had a kicker against the Commanders, we actually could have been 3-2 after 5 games because the offensive line was adequate. They gave us a chance to win football games, and we did. Right? Before Thomas suffered his Liz Frank injury last season, beginning a never-ending whirlwind of injuries and inadequate performance that left the Giants shuffling the line some more in search of answers that never really came. The Giants' offensive line was fine. It wasn't great, but it was fine. Andrew Thomas, John Runyon, John Michael Schmitz, Jermaine Illuminor from left tackle across to right tackle were basically a league average line. And let's not forget about GBR. Right? Giants would absolutely take league average play from that group. Absolutely. Absolutely. The key, of course, is Thomas's health. If he can play the vast majority of the games and play at a level close to his 2022 second-team All-Pro form, he played very well that year. That would be a huge help. Now, that was one of the reasons also, Dave's got a lot, a decent amount out of Jones. Saquon stayed healthy. Andrew Thomas stayed healthy. Right? We won a lot of close games. Right? Let's see. So the offensive line is going to be huge, absolutely huge. Not only that, not only so much staying healthy, okay, but the one thing is what wound up happening last year was after, I guess like the first 5 or 6 games, I think we started the same guys every week. After Andrew Thomas went down and he couldn't start anymore, we wound up, I think, either tied for the most with 10 different starting offensive line configurations over the remainder of the season. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. Usually you want the guys playing next to each other, get familiar with one another. That wasn't the case with the Giants last year. And it's a recipe for disaster. Right? It was like one guy after the other, just kept getting injured. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. Now, the final one here is Bono or Bozo. Now, this is something Mr. Mara said to Coach Dabes after 2022. Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year honors in 2022. He earned that by cajoling the best year of his career out of quarterback Daniel Jones. He earned that by coaching a ragtag team that had won 4 games in 2021, got Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman replaced, and had GM Joe Shane looking for scraps of duct tape anywhere he could uncover them to splice together a functional roster with no cap space and a front office filled with people he barely knew, which is true. He came in, it's like, I don't know any of these guys. He didn't even know his scouting staff, Go on, and John Mara proved, he brought up a saying by saying that after that award was bestowed upon Daboll, meaning the Coach of the Year, the coach needed to be careful not to go from Bono, the lead singer for U2, I guess, to the rock star, to Bozo, the clown. And he's gone to Bozo, the clown, over the last 2 seasons. Well, the Giants have gone 9-25 over the past 2 seasons. So Coach Davis is looking like Bozo the clown, without question. Jones turned back into a pumpkin. Daboll's magic touch disappeared. There were constant rumors of behind-the-scenes unhappiness among the coaching staff, which seemed to be born out by the ugly dismissal of defensive coordinator Wink Martindale. So, not much went right for the Giants over the last 2 seasons. Daboll went from a cigar-smoking hero of Giants fans to a cigar-smoking hack. Some fans were so distraught that they were paying for planes to fly above MetLife Stadium, begging John Mara to make changes. So, there's all kinds. Can Daboll recapture the magic? Well, we will have to wait and see. There's all kinds of things. But one of the big things, right, is can the Giants stay healthy? Can they stay healthy? I mean, just because we have on paper a really good defense does not obviously guarantee any results. They got to go out there and do it on the field, plain and simple. But what's on paper seems like it's really going to give us a chance. Better quarterback play, right? If Malik can stay healthy, the offensive line can stay healthy and gel together, that would be huge. That would really, really be huge. So, but once again, it's long way to go. Well, we'll have to wait and see. But boy, it's just so exciting. It's actually right now it's Tuesday, right? So in 2 days, it's Monday night, whatever. But we actually think that today's Tuesday. 2 more days, we have the first game of the season. Cowgirls versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Ugh, but might have been a better game if Micah Parsons was still there, but it is what it is. Then I seen this one here. Jackson Dart one-ups Shedeur Sanders. Now, Dart seems to be kind of like, on the maybe on the rise, and apparently, over in Cleveland, Shedeur's still on the team and all of that, but he's maybe not quite on the, on the rise of what Dart seems to be doing as of right now. The one game that he played, he had a very good first game, Sanders. Then he hurt his oblique, so he missed the second game. Then the third game, he was, I think, 3 out of 6 for 14 yards, but he got sacked 5 times. I mean, it was a huge contrast. Yeah, between one game, the first game they played, and the second game, huge contrast. Right? And to be fair, he wasn't going up against the first stringers for either team, right? As far as I know. So, but it's nice to know, because it's always, the one thing is, when a team jumps up to grab a quarterback, or you draft a quarterback or something like that, you really hate to have somebody get drafted behind them that winds up being better than the guy you took. Right. So I'm not saying, I want Shedeur to be worse, but I'm just saying that it would be really, really embarrassing if the Giants passed on Shedeur Sanders, traded up into the first round, and Shedeur winds up being a better quarterback than Dart. That would be really, really embarrassing. All right. Giants rookie one-ups Shedeur Sanders. New York Giants gearing up for what they hope is a major 2025-26 season. And those in New York are hoping it's a comeback year for their franchise. While the Giants still have their same head coach as last year, and Brian Dable, that's pretty much the only thing that's the same. When it comes to the Giants quarterback roster, it's big and totally new. The lineup features Russell Wilson, Jameson Winston, and rookie Jackson Dart. Totally new, right? The team parted ways with Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan before the regular season started. Right? Didn't make the cut, didn't make the 53. Giants traded up in the 2025 draft to pick Dart at number 25 overall, giving away picks 34, 99, and a 2026 third-round pick to the Texans. He obviously saw something special in him, and he's already delivering in the form of a stellar preseason performance. It's not hyperbole to say that people haven't been this excited about the Giants in a long time, and a lot of us, that has to do with Dart. Now, the Dart is getting some praise over another high-profile rookie, Shedeur Sanders, in a new feature. New York Giants quarterback gets big props. Dart is already being seen as a player who is on the rise. In an August 24th feature for Fansided, Winston Wilcox take a temperature check on the rookie quarterbacks in the NFL. Everybody questioned the Giants for trading back into the first round to select Dart, but after the preseason, it seems like it might have been a brilliant move. Wilcox says in the piece praising Dart, he's probably the only other rookie quarterback that could have outplayed Ward in the preseason. Dart finished 32 of 47 for 352 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. He adds that the New York Giants are probably thrilled to get Dart. I think so. While he may not start a single game this year, Giants fans have to be optimistic about their future. Wilcox adds, he also says that when it's time for Dart to take over, don't be surprised when he elevates the Giants team. I mean, you got a young stud in there, boy, Might rise the tides, right? While Wilcox names Dart as a quarterback on the rise, he dubs Sanders as a quarterback who is heading back to the classroom. Sanders not getting first-team reps and still at the bottom of the depth chart isn't the coaching staff choosing favorites, he notes. It's them shedding light to us about what they see in practice. And Sanders can both be really talented, absolutely, very, very accurate, absolutely, and not ready to be an NFL starter. So he's got, the two, right? So Wilcox says that Sanders is certainly still talented, but maybe just not as ready as Dart, which is possible. It's possible. One of the scene, I can't remember who it was, but somebody was talking. It was on one of the podcasts or whatever, and I can't. Oh, I'm an idiot. I mean, I've seen this guy a bunch of times, but he was talking about with Dart and Sanders, right? He said, when you're in the pocket, right? See, Sanders doesn't want to step up into the pocket. He says Sanders wants to back up out of the pocket and try to run. Well, he's like, and I can't remember the guy, but he said if you're like Michael Vick, okay, you get out of the pocket, right? You go, and you can outrun anybody. Go for it. Sanders can't do that. He's not that fast, right? He had a hard time doing that in college. He's not the greatest of athletes. Very accurate thrower, absolutely. But he's not the greatest of athletes. So he has a hard time trying to outrun everybody, and it's very, very difficult. So what he kind of needs is to maybe step up into the pocket, but he doesn't seem to do that. Dart steps up into the pocket and he gives himself maybe a little bit more time, but also if Dart sees an opening, he takes it. Now, let's hope that somewhere along the line, Dart actually starts sliding. Okay? We don't need him taking any hits, right? Learn to live another down, another player, well, whatever the saying is, right? Stop taking these freaking hits. Somebody gets within a couple yards of you or whatever, slide down, right? If you slide, if they want to hit you then, gives another 15 yards, but learn to either run out of bounds or slide. It's a long season. You can't take that many hits, right? No matter how good Dart is on the field, Wilson is still the Giants starting quarterback. Russ is our starter, and we're going to keep developing Jackson, Dable said after the team's postseason win over the Jets. He continued saying, Jackson's just got to continue to work to get better, and we've got to help him get better. Dable also said that what they're trying to do is help Jackson be the best quarterback he can be, just like all the quarterbacks, just like every player on the team. Those following the Giants should be so happy that the team has both Dart and Wilson as their signal callers. Winston, too. Winston hasn't got as much attention as those two, but he's solid, too. Absolutely. I mean, Winston, as we've seen in preseason, Winston can throw you into a game. He can also throw you out of a game. He completes passes most of the times to his own team, but every now and then he makes bad decisions or he trusts his arm too much to get a pass in there, and the ones that get picked off. But we got a nice quarterback room, really nice quarterback room. But as of right now, anyway, long way to go, especially in these two guys' careers. Long way to go. It just seems like as of right now, maybe Dart might be a little bit more ready to take the reins than Shedeur Sanders. And once again, does that mean that Shedeur can't be a good quarterback? Absolutely not. He just might, I need some more time, some more practice, right? If he does have any weaknesses, start working on them. As I said, the one guy in that podcast was talking about, he seems like he tries to bail out of the pocket and tries to run, and he's not that fast. Guys in the pros here, going to catch him. And the thing was, a lot of it was also in the preseason. He's not going up against the starters, for the other teams. So chances are some of the starters are better athletes or better players or whatever. So if he tries to bail, he's just asking for problems. So, but with Sanders, you saw the first game. You saw great stats, really good stats, but then. He got injured, had the oblique, I think it was, The second game he played, which I believe was the third game overall, you saw it was 3 out of 6 for 14 yards, and he had sacked 5 times. You have the good Shador, you have the bad Shador. Is what it is. But it's just nice knowing that as I said, it happens, right? But maybe we traded back up into the first round for a quarterback, right? And the guy that got taken in the 5th round, maybe we made as of right now, maybe we made the right decision, right? And then finally, you kind of hope, right? Well, I don't want to. I mean, there's still hope. In this article I'm going to read, right, there's a historical warning about, well, not about Abdul Carter. There's a historical warning, okay, about I think it's top 5 edge rushers taken in the top 5 of the draft. It's not so much Abdul Carter. It's, expecting too much too early from these high draft picks, okay, to get a lot of sacks. Not that it hasn't happened. It has happened, okay? But, most of them taken in the top 5, I think they go back to 2000 in this article I'm going to read, don't reach 10 sacks in their rookie season, right? Now, I forgot, we had Lawrence Taylor. They had 8.5, or of course they were unofficial in 81. So it was either 8.5 or 9.5 his rookie season. But if they learn to rush Lawrence Taylor a lot, he would easily would have had more than 10 sacks. I mean, there were some games I didn't even know he was even on the field. There's 81, I think it was 81. We played the Falcons. It's on YouTube. You can see it. And, I think it was Steve Bartkowski was the quarterback for the Falcons. He dropped back to pass. And I'm looking and oh, where's Lawrence Taylor? Is he going to sack him? Where's Lawrence Taylor? And then the next play might be a pass play. And I'm like, where's Lawrence at? Where's Lawrence at? I mean, Lawrence was in coverage. One of the greatest pass rushers of all time. And, he was in coverage a lot. So he was in coverage quite a bit. And he still managed to get all those sacks. As I said, it was 8.5 or 9.5, whatever it was in his rookie season. But if they had him blitzing or rushing more, he easily would have had over 10, without question. I mean, as I said, that one game I just remember all the time, I guess the Falcons, I'm like, is he even on the field? But most of the time he was in coverage. Can't get sacks if you're in coverage. Right, but it's an interesting article. I love this because, see, I don't have time to do this. A lot of it, I'm too much of a moron, right? To, all that stuff. So that's why I love these guys that there's all these different publications and all that, whatever it's Yahoo, Sports Illustrated, Giants Wire, Giants.com, all these different places, AZ Sports, and they go out and they find these stats and all that stuff, and they write up some really, really nice articles. I never would have thought, to think of something like this, but it's a good article, really, really good article here. So this is from Heavy, okay? Giants get Heavy. I wrote it. Oh, by James Dudko. Okay, so heavy.com. Giants get historical warning about Abdul Carter. That's, it's once again, it's not so much maybe about Abdul Carter. It's about, well, it's also, I think, I mean, if you want to look at it, right, it also be like Kayvon, right? Because he got taken. I think it's guys taken. Once again, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to read the article. I think it's rusher or defensive line included, right? Because Ndamukong Suh is on this list and all. Guys taken in the top 5 of the draft, so that would include Kayvon. Okay. They took Abdul Carter with the 3rd overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft to be a transformative player for their defense. But history indicates the New York Giants should lower their expectations for the gifted and versatile rookie edge rusher. Historical trends for pass rushers drafted with a top 5 pick, okay, provide a warning for Carter and the Giants, according to the Ringer's Sheil Kapadia. I probably said that name wrong, but he explained how if we look at all the rookie pass rushers who have been drafted in the top 5 since 2000, so we're going back basically like 25 drafts, okay, the average production is 5.7 sacks across the season. I guess across their first season, I guess maybe. Only 5 of those 5 players, Julius Peppers, Bradley Chubb, Von Miller, Joey Bosa, and Ndamukong Suh. By the way, 5 pretty damn good ball players. You can easily say that maybe 4 out of 5 might go into the Hall of Fame, right? Produced only 5. Okay, have produced double-digit sacks as a rookie. Could Carter join that group? Sure, but it's not the most likely scenario. That's a worrying track record for the most hyped player on the team to overcome. Fortunately, Carter has been enough of a force during both training camp and preseason to create genuine buzz. He can be elite in year 1. Abdul Carter is already facing huge expectations. Lofty draft status and a flexible skill set immediately set the bar high for Carter upon entering the pros. The former Penn State star is already encouraging lavish praise from some of the game's greatest and most consistent pass rushers. One former NFL sack leader has predicted Carter will end a 44-year award drought for Big Blue. Meanwhile, a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year has endorsed a gold standard pass rush move in Carter's repertoire. He appeared to be justifying the hype when Carter bossed the Buffalo Bills and 4-time Pro Bowl left tackle Deion Dawkins in week 1 of the preseason. When he rushed the quarterback 3 times and he got 3 pressures, and 2 of them against Dawkins. So there's a lot of fanfare from those who know the craft, but Carter is still yet to play a down in a meaningful NFL game, which is true. He'll get his first chance against the Commanders at Northwest Stadium on Sunday, September 7th, and the Giants' NFC East rivals will already be well aware Carter may need special attention. Going to be quite possibly something like, what would you say? What would that have to do with Lawrence Taylor, right? But the thing is that you can only double team so many guys. If you're going to try to maybe double team Carter, what are you going to do with Sexy? Right? If you're going to double team Carter and Sexy, you're going to leave Brian Burns one-on-one, right? Giants can help the rookie beat history. The Commanders will have seen the impact Carter made in exhibition contests. What they'll have noticed is a roving disruptor already seeing his share of double teams. Let's not forget, was it the one? Oh, it was that one game. It was against the Jets, right? Oh, you beat them. Oh, yeah. I hate the fans in that era. They swear last year wasn't a fluke. Yeah, hey, I hope we beat them too. But it was the one game in when we played against the Jets, right? And what they did was they, Carter obviously was, looking in, and wasn't prepared for the tight end, I guess, to come in and chip him, right? So they did. I think the tight end came in and hit him, and then I guess went out on a pass pattern. But the tight end, knocked him one way, and then the tackle cleaned Carter's clock. So they did put 2 guys on him, but it was just, I think it was just a chip from the tight end. So Carter's going to have to be careful of that, very, very careful of that. But you can only spend so many blockers on who you gonna, somebody's got to be a one-on-one. Whether it's going to be Kayvon, whether it's going to be Burnsy, whether I don't want to just leave Sexy by himself, right? Right. So it'll be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. It speaks to the rookie's rapid development, but extra attention being paid to Carter is also a reminder of what makes this Giants defense dangerous, namely the difficulty of doubling one skilled pass rusher and leaving other talented members of a loaded front to take over a game. Carter will not travel through his debut campaign in isolation. He'll be helped by fellow edge rushers Kayvon Thibodeaux and Brian Burns, with the latter adding something new to his pass rush plan for this season. Burns and Carter will move around the front and rush from multiple angles, but a forgotten Giants pass rusher will also be in the mix as the key to a nightmare front. Add in the presence of all-pro nose tackle Dexter Lawrence, who is without equal in a key area. You got that freaking right. And Carter has the supporting cast to help him defy history and Capadia's prediction. That's it. Good article. So the thing is also, they tell you that there's only been 5 guys. Okay, that makes sense. Since 2000, drafted in the top 5, whether it's edge rushers or on a defensive line, who've gotten double-digit sacks in their rookie season. But you have to put some context to that too. Right? I mean, some of the other guys who maybe haven't done it, did they have a supporting cast around them? Right? How many defensive lines since 2000 have had the supporting cast that Carter has, with Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon, and Burnsy? Right? So you got to put some context to it, but it's going to be interesting. You got to stay healthy. Right, really, got to stay healthy. But I think if Carter can stay healthy, especially if Dexter can stay healthy too, I think it's like pick your poison. Right, with our defensive front, who are you going to double team? You can only double, you can only issue so many blockers. I mean, unless you're going to keep max protect and send 3 guys out in a pass pattern, right? So, but. If I think if anything, if Carter could at least come close to getting double digits in sacks, and it all starts this week here. It'll be interesting to see also what the Giants wind up doing with that Daniels, because are they going to put a spy on him? Right? Because obviously some guys we got maybe aren't quite as mobile, but Daniels is not Michael Vick. But he'll take off and he'll get some yards for you, right? So he's mobile, right? So it'll be interesting to see. Are the Giants going to just try to rush 3, maybe have a spy? They're going to rush 4 with no spy. They're going to rush 4, maybe have a spy. It'll be interesting to see, because there's nothing more demoralizing to actually get the 3rd down. It's like 3rd and 6 or 8 or whatever the case might be, right? You drop back, the quarterback's looking, everybody's covered. And then he just takes off and gets 9 yards, first down. It's like, that's tough, really tough. All right, guys, been 1 hour and 19 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Well, if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replays, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah. Thank you.